thanks so much for joining Making Healthcare Work for You, different perspectives and empowering solutions. I'm Stephanie Fields, joined by my co-host, Dr. Apoorv Gupta, and we are welcomed by Mike McDonald, who is a senior workplace consultant at Gallup. And he specializes in strengths, in the Strengths Finder, and also said that he loves the scholar and practitioner relationship and role. After our conversation, which we intended to talk about healthcare, but we didn't. We got wrapped up in all of Mike's knowledge and all these questions. And so the theme that we hear so much on the show is data is so important. You can't do anything without data. And it's so true. But every time we talk about the importance of data, we always end up talking about how important the human aspects are. It seems as though no matter how much we want to focus on one or the other, you can't have a world where it's thriving without both. So is there a world where you can have data without humanistic things, and can you have vice versa, or why are those so connected? Why can you not separate that spider web?
Yeah, Stephanie, it's a great question. What's the point of data if it doesn't drive an outcome? And the best of data, we would say, again, as at Gallup, is it should inform our decisions. It should give us choices. It should cause us to see solutions where maybe we were tempted to limit ourselves. And arguably the best pressure point when we think about the data translation to drive outcomes is one attitude shift that I think the data should hold us accountable. Like there should be no ignorant bliss, or blissful ignorance, I should say. I guess we could use those interchangeably. That once we know something, well, then we are accountable to go do something with that. And I think it even informs some of the questions we ask. Like we should probably never ask questions that we aren't prepared to do something with in response. And I think that sharpens purpose and priority in the approach from that aspect of it. But the fact that we can ask questions and collect answers that drive actions, we would say maybe the most primary fulcrum in that whole process is decision making. And if we think about, and we have a lot of experts who help us really work our way through, one of them would contend that if we think about Clifton Strengths or any other data point, that perhaps regardless of what we think we serve as a product, a service, any kind of output that we think represents the sustainable growth of our organization, that's probably not really it. That probably the standardized unit of sustainable growth for any organization is the volume and the value of the decisions that organization can make. And then the tires or the patients or the consult, whatever that fill in the blank is that we say we deliver as an organization, those are all kind of outcomes or lagging indicators of just how are we as a culture and a group of people who deliver on that, making more decisions and better decisions than we ever have. So I think that's probably the most specific pressure point of where data holds us accountable to do something, but it's converted through those decisions and choices that we involve ourselves with each other through.
And that is powerful. I feel like I have to go lead something now.
Can I even take that
Absolutely.
chance?
Go for it.
I wanted to just flip that inside out because I
Mm.
think I'm just going based on your idea of strengths. Do we use the data to say, well, this is what we're strong at, so let's just focus on that? Then just like we do on a personal level, where you say encourage us to use our top 5 strengths, and then let the negatives, they'll figure themselves out as we
Mm.
go. Do we take that same approach as an organization and say, well, what's our top 5 strengths based on our data? And whereas we may more be tempted to look at the stuff that quote unquote where we're not so strong. I don't know if it's ever been applied at the organizational level. And do you think is that stretching the strengths approach too far, or is that how we use it?
It absolutely is not. And we primarily, when we work with organizations, that philosophy of committing to where you add most value, because what happens is, and again, it's such a flawed influence that the world keeps trying to bring in, where the world keeps trying to say stereotypically or traditionally, hey, if you're really good at these things, it tries to tempt us into thinking, well, we've crossed the finish line. We can take our foot off the gas. We've arrived. And now let's start to focus on these things that we really struggle or suffer with. And we would say what you want to do is maximize your strengths and manage those weaknesses. So we do have some accountability to balance both, but let's not give away our advantages. Like that's our best play forward. And so let's go there and go there and go there. And there's an infinite capacity there. And then the emphasis of that minimizes those areas that we're not particularly adept at, or at least helps to bolster them to where they don't provide an exposure or an area of weakness. So we see that time and time again, where clients will see maybe it's a site that's really thriving and it's productive and it's incredibly productive and profitable, whatever we want to assign to it. And then they'll compare it to a site that's not doing so well. And the temptation would be, well, let's devote our resources, our finances to the one that's not doing so well and try to pull it up. But we've actually seen the opposite to be more true for the growth of the organization and the profit increase. Is if you've got a site that's doing incredibly well, that's where you'd want to devote even more of your resources and then figure out, how do we manage this other one to where it's not getting in the way, or maybe it does get collapsed inside and diverted to existing positions of strength. But yeah, the research would support that approach over and over again.
Remarkable. Thank you so much. This was amazing. We love talking to you.
Oh, it was delightful. Yeah, I'm much smarter now for having had the conversation with the two of you.
Imagine what we're like.
No, thank you. You can see I'll go till Sunday and not even take a breath. So thanks for having the conversation.
Thank you all for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.